Hi, it's me, Chiibe, and welcome to the first episode of this new series I'm making called Making Manick. For those of you that don't know, Manick is my webcomic about bounty hunters, beasts, and bad guys, and you can read it completely for free online. I love working on Manick, and I thought it'd be fun to share my process with you guys. So, what I will be doing is I'll be recording myself working on each update, and then I will be turning them into these podcast type videos where I just answer questions, talk about random things, and just generally have a good time. I really hope you guys like it. This is definitely something different to what I'm used to doing, but we'll see how it goes. So to start things off, I thought it'd be fun to do a Q&A where I answer questions from you guys from YouTube and Twitter. So yeah, let's get started. Oh, and spoilers for this week's update. This question comes from 3000 Yorkies on Twitter, and they ask, what's the most difficult part of making a comic page? And do you have any tips for creating good panel composition? So it's funny, this is kind of linked because the most difficult part of a comic page for me is the thumbnailing part and getting all the composition right. Mainly because when you have a comic page, it's not as simple as just laying the panels out on the page. You want the reader's eye to be led through the page. And when I'm working on my sketches and my thumbnails, I try and put as much effort as possible into making sure the reader's eye does that. And it's more time consuming than I'd like it to be. So sometimes I will spend all day just thumbnailing a few panels. Well, not a few panels, a few pages, because I'm focusing so much on how the reader's eye will be led through the page. And sometimes that means flipping panels so that characters are facing other directions, or rearranging panels and moving things around. It's all the little itty-bitty things that comes with layouts that I just find it really difficult. I mean, I think I'm getting better at it, definitely. If you go through the first chapter of Manick, you can see that there's a point where my paneling stops being terrible and just goes into the okay territory. The best tip I kind of have is, if you can't think of a good composition for a page, just go with zigzag. So you want your reader's eye to go from one to the other, to the other, to the other, to the other. And I'll use a page from chapter 1 as an example. This is the one where Anya goes to shoot Haru because, you know, he did a bad thing. And in the top panel you can see that her gun is pointing to the right, so your eye instinctively goes that way. And then you see Aki, and since she is facing to the left, you follow her that way. You go to the panel, you go down, you see Haru's face, you go across, you see where she's aimed with her gun, and then as you go down, Anya's feet have actually blocked off these parts of the screen, so you curve round, you see Haru and Aki on the floor, and then as you go down, you see Haru, and that's the last panel of the page. So yeah, I really like this page a lot because of the composition of it. And you want your reader's eye to be doing that a lot when it comes to pages. So my best tip is to look at your work as if you were the reader and follow your character's eyes, follow the negative space, and follow where the background is leading people when they read this. To lead the reader's eye, it can be something as simple as changing the way the clouds are pointing. For example, if you wanted to point them towards a character that you want the reader to focus on. It's little things like that. It's kind of difficult to put into words. Once I get better at it, I might make a full video on this topic. But for now, those are my best tips. I hope they're not too rambly. This next question is from Animal Crispy on Twitter. And they ask, is the world of Manick in a universe entirely of its own, or is it set in ours, perhaps in a different time? Will there be different stories in the same universe? Are there more Wolfey? Or will we get to know more about the species in the comic or via outside information? So, first things first, yes, Manick is set in an entirely different universe. It's basically Earth rules, but if Earth was a completely different planet, different structure, different cultures, different countries, different continents, all that kind of stuff. You know, generic fantasy world stuff. And will there be different stories in the same universe? Hopefully, yes. I have developed this universe so much over time. I have written documents filled with information about all the different cultures, the different countries, how they all operate, even how their languages sound, so it'd be nice to set more stories in the world of Manick one day. Are there more Wolfey? Yes, there are. Maybe you'll meet some, maybe not. Who knows? This question comes from Taikula, I think I'm saying that right. And they ask, what do you think younger you would have to say now that Manick is a full-on comic? I think she'd be mostly surprised that I've still stuck at it this long. Manick is an idea I've had since I was about 10, 12 years old. So it's kind of bizarre that I'm still working on it now, and it's out now, and that it's been received so well now, and that it's going so well now. I think she'd be very happy. I would be happy. Yes, I would. And their second question is, how different do you think Manick would be if it followed the original plot you had from a few years ago? Oh boy. The original Manick plot is a treat. I don't think I can cover it in this video because there have been so many different plots. They've been so strange. They were all wolves at one point. They all had magical powers. They all had spirits at one point, like spirit animals. There was a point where Mika could fly. I'm just thinking of all the different plot threads that have happened over the last 10 years. And I think this needs to be its own separate video because there is a lot to unravel. If you'd be interested in that, please leave a comment below. I'd like to know if you're interested in seeing the history of Manick to where it is now. This next question is from TrashMammal930, and they ask, do you have any other comic or animated series planned? I do. I have another comic which some of you may have heard of called Animale, and it's about animals fighting to become king, and I haven't touched that in a few years, but I really want to revisit that at some point because I love the story so much and it'd be so nice to share it with you all. And for animated series, I have a few, but nothing that I really care about as much as Manick or Animale at the moment. Jillian the Bird asks, how old are Haru and Aki in the story and as characters? Chapter 1, they are 15 years old. Wolfey's age human years, so they're the same age. And chapter 2 onwards is set a year later, so they're 16 now. The Daedric Queen asks, how many chapters will Manick have? Too damn many. I got way too carried away when writing Manick. I'm probably going to be writing this story till I'm in my 30s, and I'm fully prepared to do that because I love this story so much. Toonie Drago asks, when do you plan on having the rest of the main cast appear? Well, as you can see, Mika is making her first appearance in chapter 2, and in the next few chapters we'll be meeting Cross and Ash too, and I cannot wait because I love my boys so much. Dizzy Cake asks, is Haru ever gonna get some more clothes? Or is he just gonna go nude for the rest of the series? Yes, Haru is gonna be naked forever and always. He's naked now. Dino Ember asks, do you make the art traditionally or digitally? I make all my work for Manick digitally at the moment. I would love to do it all hand-drawn someday, mainly because I just love working with the traditional medium so much, and it'd be so nice to just see it on a piece of paper in front of me. But as it stands right now, I don't have the money for that, so I just do it all on my computer. Squishy Panda 626 asks, seems like you've had the idea for a while. What made you finally decide to start making it into a comic? And Kitsune Etoili asks, how long has Manick been in the making? Are there any graphic novels / comics / series that inspired it? And Winded Ivories asks, what inspired Manick and what made you want to make it into an actual thing? So these are all kind of the same comments, so I'm just gonna answer it all in one big go. Well, when I was a very young teenager in high school, I was obsessed with anime and manga, as most people I know were, and stuff like Naruto and One Piece were probably my biggest inspirations, One Piece more so than anything, mainly because when I was watching and reading that at the same time, and I just loved it so much. It was so fun and cartoony, but it made you cry, it made you laugh, it made you angry. Just that whole range of emotions, and the story really spoke to me as a child and made me think, hey, I want to do that. So mainly reading One Piece is what made me want to make Manick into what it is now. I want to have a fun adventure story that can make you laugh and cry and get angry, full of heart, full of action, and full of fun characters. And I really hope Manick becomes that, and I hope you guys feel that about it as more comes out. Snickerblizzles, I think I said that right, asks, why is Aki such a dang mood though? I don't know, but I'm glad she is. Deadly North asks, what got you into animation, and how does one stay motivated to do so? Well, when I was really young, I liked cartoons, I liked anime, and I wanted to make one, so I learnt how to animate. I wish I had a more tragic backstory, but no, I just really, really wanted to make an anime when I was younger. And staying motivated? Well, I have a motto that I say to myself, and that is, I will only stop doing something when I've forgotten why I started doing it. And I started doing animation because I wanted to make pretty pictures move, and I wanted to make my own anime as a child. And I'm finally at the stage where I have the skills to possibly make some of those things. And every time I think back to me as a kid wanting to do that, it keeps me motivated. It's like, yeah, I've worked hard to get here, and I'm proud that I'm here, and I'm happy that I get to share my work with people, and I'm glad you're all enjoying it so far. I'm just so happy. I love you guys. Blue Sunrise Cat asks, how long does the average page take to finish? It kind of depends on what's going on in the page. For example, a double spread could take maybe a day to finish, from start to finish, whereas a page where it's just characters interacting could take a few hours. It's about 3 hours minimum, 20 hours maximum. Autumn Dragon 12 asks, do you have any tips for someone who wants to make their own webcomic? How much planning does it take? What websites to host it on? Tips for meeting a regular schedule and such. So basically the best advice I can give you is have the beginning, middle, end of the story roughly planned out. They don't need to be final, just have a general idea for it. And have your characters' motivations set from the very first chapter. You want to know why people should care about your characters and why they should follow them through your story. And I rewrote Manick Chapter 1 a lot because I realized by the end of it, we don't actually know why people should care about Haru. So I changed a lot of it to show that his main motivation for the story is he wants to help people, not hurt them. But as you can see, that may not be so easy. So character motivations, definitely have them set out. How much planning does it take? It depends, I suppose. When it comes to plot, for me personally, it's very quick. I think of plot lines very, very quickly. However, when it comes to characters, it takes a lot longer because, like I said, planning out their motivations and their personalities and how they're going to bounce off the story, the environment, each other, it takes a lot of planning. So, I don't know, it's hard to answer that one. And even while you're writing the story, the characters themselves and the plot will change. It's a very fluid, creative process, which is kind of fun. So, I don't know. If you wanted to start writing a comic, I'd say maybe plan it for a few months and then go into writing it. What websites to host it on? I've heard that Smack Jeeves can be quite good. At the moment, I'm hosting it on Tapas. I like the format of their website a lot. The only downside is you can't really have double pages. And if you do, you have to compress them a lot. But I know a lot of people have their own domains, so they are partnered with bigger companies like Hiveworks. They give you websites if you pitch your idea to them, and they'll help with promotion. But yeah, find a free comic hosting website like Tapas or Smack Jeeves. And because you can build up an audience from there, because people will find your work in searches and occasionally on the front page. And from there you can build up to having your own domain. And tips for meeting a regular schedule. So before Manick, I was terrible at meeting deadlines. But I don't know. With this, I've just sort of been able to really focus on getting things done on time. Mainly because I care so much about it. I want it to be done on time. I don't want to miss an update. Not just for me, but for all the people reading it. I usually allot certain days solely for Manick. It's usually Saturday is completely Manick day. Monday evening is completely Manick day. And the other days and evenings I have that aren't work. They can be whatever I want, but it's usually Manick because I just like working on it so much. But yeah, find time that you can set aside solely for working on your comic. And after a while, it'll just become routine and you'll just get so used to working on it and meeting them deadlines. This question is from Dan Mons on Twitter, and they ask, on the final pages, is Haru's leaf actually that small, or is it just cold outside? Okay, how about my proper question then? How do you think your pages have improved from the first page you did? So, I find the first few pages of chapter 1 really ugly, and going back and looking at them is a kind of a surreal experience, because everything just looks off. I don't really like chapter 1 until maybe page 40 onwards, and that's when it just starts to be, tolerable. Everything beforehand I just look at and wish I could redo. And it's killing me that I'm not redoing it. So, when the final book comes out eventually, I'm hoping to make them all look a bit nicer. And Susie Wang 12 asks, favorite colors and or how do you choose the characters' outfits? I am a terrible outfit designer. I don't even know how I've managed to give the characters the outfits they have now, but I usually look at Google Images or Pinterest for outfits that kind of evoke the idea I want, and then I get a mood board and just smush them all together into one. And my favourite colour is orange. It's everywhere. I love orange. So those are all the Twitter questions, and that took a bit longer than I thought it would. So this video is actually going to be split into two, because this first week update was a lot longer than most updates are. I will be releasing the next part of this video on Friday, where I will be answering all the questions I got off YouTube. I hope you enjoyed this episode so far, and I'll see you guys then. Bye!